This is Taylor Schaefer from Morgan James Publishing, and I have the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Self about his upcoming release, Good Success. It is great to be able to talk with you today, and it's also even better because you're joining me for the living room edition of your book launch. So I do have a couple of questions for you, and I'd love to just dive right in and get those answered.
Sure, go right ahead, Schaefer.
Awesome. So my first question is why did you write Good Success? And how does good success differ from bad success?
Well, it could be answered in short version or a long version. I'll take the short version.
Okay.
I wrote the book because I perceived a need that was based upon the conversations that I had had with my graduate students. I had many students come back to me after even years of being in the workplace, and they would say, Doc Self, you did a really good job of teaching us about this and this and this, but you didn't tell us about all these bad leaders we're going to run into. How is it that some of these people get to be where they're at? And how is it they remain as leaders in the companies we work for? So I did some further research, and I found out that this issue of working with and for a bad leader was much more universal than I had thought. I personally had run into a couple of bad leaders along the way, so I took what I had experienced personally, combined it with the research, and based upon the testimonies of my many, many students, the book came to be. Now, the title Good Success came to be because there's a big difference between success and good success, or good success and bad success. An example would be, let's say your favorite football team wins the football game, but they lose by way of injury the best quarterback, their starting quarterback, and their two best defensive players. Now, that was a win, but it wasn't a good win because there were other ramifications based upon the injury of their best players. On the business side, it happens this way, that people can be pushed and prodded, and they can make all sorts of sales and marketing goals. But if you lose your four best employees because you did that, that's not a good success. That's a bad success. So good success springs from qualifying what a success is. And a good success is that which is good for everybody all the time in every situation.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. So how are the 52 lessons found in Good Success explained in respect to the Good Lessons affirmation?
Well, the Good Lessons affirmation basically says that as a reader, as a person, I'm going to learn good lessons from everything that I face that I might consider a bad experience or a fearful experience or a roadblock that some leader has set in my way. I'm going to learn from that. So the affirmation says, there's not a situation caused by a bad leader from which I'm not going to learn a good lesson. And from that, I've taken 52 component parts that comprise the good lesson. At the end of every chapter, every one of these 52 segments, there are a number of what I just call straightforward good lessons. But every good lesson is illustrated by a story. I love to tell stories. And in my many years of teaching, one of the things that students liked was how I illustrate a concept or an idea or a theory based upon a story. So every one of the 52 big lessons has a series of smaller good lessons at the end of it, but they have multiple stories really illustrating the theory and the concept and really the bad experience that the person may have had within that particular bad experience with a bad leader. So it's organized in such a way that it's not really choppy, but it is organized that you could start the book at any place in the book. You can end it certainly wherever you want to end it, but any place you start has value. So you can start in the middle with the willingness or the refusals of bad leaders and the things that leaders are unwilling to do and changes that they're unwilling to make. So there's value at each one of those. So you have Good Lessons affirmation, and then you have these 52 support categories backing them up. An example would be refusal to or inability to serve ice cream. Now, what I mean by that, everybody likes ice cream, but there are some times in our lives when good leaders will take the pressure off. I stepped one time into an office on the university, and there was such tension and such anxiety there that I said, put a sign on the door, we are going to walk away from this pressure cooker for about an hour, and we're all going to get ice cream. So we loaded up in two Mustang convertibles, and all 8 of us went to the local ice cream shop where we had ice cream. And we took the pressure off. People went back and they were happy. Work was carried on. They were much more productive than when all that pressure was on. But some leaders never take the pressure off. The pressure is always there. And they have an unwillingness or refusal or a lack of knowledge that ice cream is a good thing to serve. Now, you could serve sushi or you could serve whatever you want to, but the idea is you have to take the pressure off sometimes. And in these COVID-19 days, there's a different kind of pressure, but every good leader will find a way to serve ice cream. In other words, to learn how and know how to take the pressure off.
Right. Yes, definitely. Taking that pressure off, it's definitely important, especially coming from good leaders or leaders that are trying to be better, bettering themselves in those positions, most definitely. And just so you know, ice cream would have definitely worked for me. That pressure would have been gone.
Well, a good leader would have said, okay, now what is it that this person and this work group and this team really likes the best? Now, it always has to have just a little bit of naughtiness to it, like pizza.
Yes, exactly.
Like ice cream, just a little bit off center when it comes to that is being served, because it means so much more.
Yes, exactly. And so what have readers said about Good Success so far?
I had one reviewer that basically said that this is a really jaunty book. And I wondered really what jaunty meant. So I looked up jaunty, and jaunty basically means exciting and quickly moving. It means, once again, exciting, quickly moving. It is a book that moves from topic to topic, well illustrated, but it moves along quite well. And I like the term jaunty. I had another person who bought a number of the books just very recently, and she has a work team. And her work team is broadly distributed really around the world. And what she said was, I think I'm a pretty good leader, but I want to be a better leader. In fact, I want to be an extraordinarily good leader. So she bought the book, she gave it to each one of the people in her work team, and she said, hold me accountable. Hold me accountable to the principles in this book, because I want to be more than just a good leader. I want to be great, really an extraordinary leader. So you have those really 2 versions. The jaunty book that's very exciting, it moves quickly, it makes a great deal of sense. And then you have another example of someone who said, I want my people to read the book, hold me accountable for what the book says, and in doing so, I'll be a much, much better leader.
Yes, that's so beautiful. Both of those examples of what readers have said so far about it, because,
thank you.
Especially the last one, being held responsible or accountable to the principles you've laid out in the book of itself, just someone asking to be held accountable for those is just, that says such great things in the book. So those are wonderful. Thank you for sharing those. And for leaders that are wanting to better themselves as well, and for our viewers at home, where can they connect with you best?
Well, my primary site is www.goodlessonsguy.com. I'm the Good Lessons Guy. And at that site, there are some content posted, there are endorsements there, and the book is overviewed, it's reviewed there. And all the information about how it can be accessed and purchased is there as well. That's goodlessonsgroup.com.
Yes, perfect. So thank you again for joining me today, Dr. Self. It was such a pleasure having you. And thank you to everyone at home that is watching and will be watching. We enjoyed our time with you as well. And go and check out Dr. Self's book, Good Success, on his the website he just gave you, and on all of the online retailer sites as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you.
Thank you for taking time. I enjoyed our conversations today, and thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you again.